Yeah.
So our progress report says we are at stage 12, paragraph page 1170.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and our last headword was allergic, neuric type of lesson. Okay,
Yes. Correct.
so
Yes.
let's start with revision. Okay, here we go. Name me some
Yes.
edible flowers. Name me some edible flowers, please. Some edible flowers
Some edible
are
flowers
roses, sunflowers,
roses,
basil,
sunflowers,
and clover.
basil, and clover.
Very good. What do we do with soup if it's bland? What do we do with soup if it's bland? We add some salt. If soup
We add
is
some salt.
bland,
Is brown.
if soup is bland,
If soup is brown.
very good. Where should we plant crops? Where should we plant crops? We should plant
We
crops
should
in
plant
fertile
crop
soil.
in fertile soil.
Very good. Is it easy to trust someone who looks sinister? Is it easy to trust someone who looks sinister? No, it isn't
No,
easy
it
to
isn't
trust
easy
someone who looks
to trust
sinister.
someone to look sinister.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
Does a person's face look happy when he hears a bad news? Does a person's face looks happy when he hears a bad news? No, a person's
No,
face
a person's
doesn't
face
look happy
doesn't look
when
happy
he hears a bad
when he hears
news.
bad
It
news.
looks grim.
It looks grim.
Wait, if you do exercise regularly, does your body become flexible? If you do exercise regularly, does your body become flexible? Yes. If you do
Yes, if
exercise
you do
regularly,
exercise
your
regularly,
body becomes
your body
flexible.
becomes flexible.
Are there any excellent restaurants parallel to the house where you live? Are there any excellent restaurants parallel to the house where you live? Yes or no?
Yes,
There are some
there
excellent
are some
restaurants
excellent restaurants
parallel to the house
parallel
where
parallel
I
to the
live.
house where I live.
Very good. What has been the most sensational thing or event you've ever heard or experienced recently? What has been the most sensational thing or event that you heard or experienced recently? The most sensational thing
The most sensational
or
things
event that I
or event
heard or
that I had
experienced
or
recently
experienced
has
recently
been the
has been done.
what was been done?
うーん、なんだろう。
Like the most exciting thing,
what watching a movie.
watching movie.
Top Gun, Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, I like that movie as well. Okay. Name me an animal which is considered extinct. Name me an animal which is considered extinct, please. Dinosaur is an
Dinosaur
animal which
is
is
an animal
considered extinct.
is
Which is considered
which is considered
extinct.
extinct.
Do you prefer to
Mm.
travel or do something with companions or do you prefer to be solitary? Do you prefer to travel or do something with companions or do you prefer to be solitary? I prefer
I prefer なんだろう
to
I
do
prefer
something
to do something
solitarily.
solitarily.
Very good. Do soft lights and antique furniture create an elegant atmosphere? Do soft lights and antique furniture create an elegant atmosphere? Yes. Soft lights
Yes,
and antique
soft light,
furniture
antique furniture,
create an elegant atmosphere. Create
un-
an elegant
create an elegant atmosphere.
atmosphere. Do we need to hurry if we have ample time to do anything? Do we need to hurry if we have ample time to do anything? No, we don't need
No,
to
we
hurry
don't need
if
to
we
hurry
have ample
if we
time
have
to
ample
do
time
anything.
to do
We
anything.
have to take our
We have
time.
to take our time.
Do governments in different countries in Europe have diplomatic relations with one another? Do governments in different countries in Europe have diplomatic relations with one another? Yes. Governments
Yes,
in different
governments
countries in
in
Europe
different country in
have
Europe
diplomatic
are
relations
diplomatic relation
with one another.
with one another.
Would you consider it bias if one judges a competition in which one of the players is his best friend? Would you consider it bias if one judges a competition in which one of the players is his best friend? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'd consider it
I
biased
consider it
if one
biased
judges
if
a
one judges
competition
a
in
competition
which one
in
of the
which
players
one of the
is his
players'
best friend.
best friends
Is his best friend.
is his best friends.
Right? Would you feel embarrassed if you saw someone naked? Would you feel embarrassed if you saw someone naked? Yes. I would
Yes,
feel embarrassed
I would feel
if I
embarrassed
saw someone
if I
naked.
saw someone naked.
Very good. When we're comparing things, what does it communicate if we put not nearly, nowhere near, or nothing like in front of the structure as? When we're comparing things, what does it communicate if we put not nearly, nowhere near, or nothing like in front of the structure as? When we're comparing things,
When we are
if we
comparing
put
things,
not
if
nearly,
we put not
nowhere
nearly,
near, or
nowhere
nothing
near,
like
or nothing
in
like
front of the structure
in front of the structure
as, it
as,
means that the
it means
difference between
that the difference
the two
between
things is
the two
very big.
things is very big.
Give me some examples. Give me some examples, please. She's not nearly
She's not
as
nearly
friendly as she
as
used to
friendly
be.
as she used to
The
be.
weather's nowhere near
The weather's nowhere
as bad
near
as yesterday.
as bad as bad as
As bad
yesterday.
as yesterday. Very good. I'm nothing like
I'm nothing
as
like
good at tennis
as
as
good
you.
at tennis as you.
Very good. What do we call two children who are born at the same time from the same mother? What do we call two children who are born at the same time from the same mother? We call two
We
children
call
who are born
two
at the
children who
same
are
time
born at the same
from the
time
same mother,
from the same mother,
twins.
twins.
And what do we call twins who resemble each other very closely? And what do we call twins who resemble each other very closely? We call twins
We call
who
twins
resemble each
who
other
resemble
very
each
closely.
other very closely,
Identical twins.
identical twins.
Very good. Have you ever threatened to sue anyone? Have you ever threatened to sue anyone? Yes or no?
No,
I have never threatened
I have never
to sue
threatened
anyone.
to sue anyone.
Very good. What do we call a person who's not a member of the police force or any of the armed forces? That is the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, the Air
Sorry,
Force, and
Ami.
the Navy. One more.
Uh, uh,
What do we call a person who's not a member of the police force or any of the armed forces? That is the Army, the Air Force, or the Navy. We call a person
we call the
who's not a
person
member
who is not a
of
member
the police
of
force
the police
or
force
any of the
or
armed
any
forces of the
of
armed forces
the army armed
forces
horses,
okay, armed forces,
armed horses.
that is the army,
That is army,
the air force, or the
the
navy.
air force
A
or the
civilian.
navy, civilian.
What's a civil war? What's a civil war? A civil war is a
A civil
war
war
between
is a
groups
war
of people
between groups of
within the
people
same country.
within the same country.
Very good. When learning a language, is it always logical to assume that you'll accomplish twice as much by devoting twice as much time each day to studying? When learning a language, is it always logical to assume that you'll accomplish twice as much by devoting twice as much time each day to studying? No. When learning a
No, when
language,
learning a
it isn't
language,
always
it isn't
logical
always
to assume
logical
that
to assume
you'll
that
accomplish
you
twice as
accomplish
much by
twice as
devoting
much
twice
by
as much
devoting
time,
as
twice as much time
twice as much time
each day to studying.
each day to studying.
Why not? Why not? Because after a
Because
certain amount
after
of
a
time
certain amount of time
studying, the brain
studying,
gets
the
tired
brain get
and
tired
learning
and
becomes
learning
less
becomes
efficient.
less efficient.
Very good. What do we mean by a devoted son or daughter? What do we mean by a devoted son or daughter? By a devoted son
By a devoted
or
son
daughter, we
or
mean
daughter,
a son
we
or
mean
daughter
a son or
who
daughter
cares deeply
who cares
about
deeply
their parents.
about their parents.
Very good. What do we call an area in a port where cargo is loaded onto ships? What do we call an area in a port where cargo is loaded onto ships? We call an
We
area in
call
a port
an area in a
where
port
cargo is loaded
where cargo
onto
is
ship,
loaded
a
on
dock.
the ship a dock.
Very good. What does the gesture of shrugging your shoulder usually convey? What does the gesture of shrugging your shoulder usually convey? The gesture of
The
shrugging
gesture
your
of
shoulders
shrugging your
usually
shoulder
conveys
usually
either
conveys
that you don't know,
either we don't know,
either that you don't know,
either the user either
either that
that
you don't know,
you don't know
or that you don't
or
care
that you don't care
about something.
about something.
Very good. Do you believe certain gestures, such as touching one's nose, can give away when someone is lying? Do you believe certain gestures such as touching one's nose can give away when someone is lying? Yes or no?
No,
I don't believe
I don't
certain
believe.
gestures
Certain
such
gesture
as touching
that such
one's
as
nose
touching one's
can give
nose
away
can give
when
away
someone is lying.
when someone is lying.
Very good. What do we call a large room full of beds where patients stay in a hospital? What do we call a large room full of beds where patients stay in a hospital? We call a
We
large
call
room
a
full
large
of
room
beds
full of
where
beds
patients stay
where
in a
patient
hospital
stays
a
in
ward.
hospital. A ward.
Very good. In a business meeting, what do we call the person who coordinates the meeting and sees to it that everyone sticks to the agenda? In a business meeting, what do we call the person who coordinates the meeting and sees to it that everyone sticks to the agenda? In a business meeting,
In a business
we
meeting,
call the person
we call the
who
person
coordinates the meeting,
who coordinate
who coordinates the meeting
who coordinate the meeting
and sees to it that everyone
and sees to it everyone
everyone sticks to the agenda,
stick to agenda,
and the chairman, the
and the
chairwoman, chairperson, or just chair.
chairperson, or just chair.
Very good. One more. In a business meeting,
In a business
we
meeting,
call the person
we call
who
the person
coordinates the meeting
who coordinates the
and
meeting
sees to it
and sees to
that
it
everyone
that
sticks
everyone
to the
sticks
agenda.
to the
The
agenda,
chairman,
the
chairwoman,
chairman,
chairperson,
chairwoman,
or just chair.
chairperson, or just chair.
Very good. What do we mean when we say that everybody but Allison managed to turn up on time for the meeting? What do we mean when we say that everybody but Allison managed to turn up on time for the meeting? When we say that
When we say
everybody but
that
Allison
everybody
managed
but Alison
to turn up
managed
on
to
time
turn up on
for the
time
meeting, we mean
for the meeting, we
that
mean
only Allison
that only
arrived late.
Alison arrived late.
Very good. When small birds seems to be talking to each other, what can we say they're doing? When small birds seems to be talking to one another, what can we say they're doing? When small birds seems
When
to
small
be
bird
talking, seems to be
spin,
talking.
seems to talking.
Come on, right? When small birds
When small bird
seems to be talking
seems to be
to
talking
each other,
to each
we can
other,
say
we
they're
can say
twittering.
they are twittering.
Very good. What happens when we spin round and round in a circle and then suddenly stop? What happens when we spin round and round in a circle and then suddenly stop? When we spin
When
round
we
and round
spin
in a
round and
circle
round in a
and
circle
then suddenly stop,
and then suddenly
we
stop,
feel dizzy.
we feel dizzy.
Very good. Does it bother you if the desk you're working at is cluttered? Does it bother you if the desk you're working at is cluttered? Yes or no? It
Yes,
bothers me
it
if
bothers
the desk
me
I'm
if
working
the
at
desk I'm working
is
at
cluttered.
is clutter.
Right? If the police in your country did away with carrying guns, do you believe crime would increase or decrease? If the police in your country did away with carrying guns, do you believe crime would increase or decrease? If the police in my
If the
country
police in
did
my country
away with carrying guns,
did away carrying guns,
with carrying guns,
with carrying
I
guns,
believe crime would
I believe crime would increase.
increase. Why? Why do you think so? Because
Because criminal
uh-huh,
become not too afraid to the police.
that they won't be afraid anymore. Very good. Next, why might someone buy a pillow stuffed with man-made material rather than one stuffed with feathers? Why might someone buy a pillow stuffed with man-made material rather than one stuffed with feathers? Someone might buy a
Someone
pillow
might buy a
stuffed
pillow
with man-made materials, stuffed with
stuff with man-made material
rather than one
rather than
stuffed
one
with feathers
stuff with feathers
because they're allergic to
because
feathers,
they are
allergic
allergic
to feathers.
to
The
feathers.
pillow is cheaper,
That pillow is cheaper,
etc.
etc.
Very good. What does someone mean when they say they're feeling stuffed? What does someone mean when they say they're feeling stuffed? When someone says
When
they're feeling
someone
stuffed, when
with a feeling
someone
stuff,
says
when someone says
they're feeling stuffed,
they're feeling
they
stuff,
mean they have
they
eaten
mean
a lot
they have eating a
and
lot
they're feeling very
and they're
full.
feeling very full.
Very good. Okay, that's the end of our revision. Very good. Very fast. Let's have new word. Okay, repeat. Pin.
Pin,
Verify.
Verify.
We're gonna listen. Verify is a verb. It means to prove, show, find out,
Mhm.
or state that something is true and correct. PIN or personal identification number is a noun. It is a secret number that is used to verify that you're the owner of the card when you withdraw in an automatic teller machine. Let's practice. When using a cash machine, how do you verify that you're the owner of the card? When using a cash machine, how do you verify that you're the owner of the card? When using a cash machine,
When using a cashing machine,
you enter your PIN
you enter
to
your PIN
verify that
to
you're the
verify
owner of the
that
card.
you are the owner of the card.
Very good. Next, repeat. Skim.
Skim.
Very good. Okay, listen. Skim is a verb. It means to move along quickly over a surface, never touching it or touching it often. For example, my hand skimming over the surface of the table.
Mhm.
Skim can also mean to remove something solid from the surface of a liquid. For example, skimmed milk is milk that's had the cream removed and is therefore low in fat. Let's practice. What's my hand doing? What's my hand doing? Your hand skimming
Your hand
over the
skim
surface of the
over the
table.
surface of the table.
What's skimmed milk? What's skimmed milk? Skimmed milk is milk
Skimmed milk
that's
is
had the
milk
cream removed
that has cream removed
and is therefore low in
and
fat.
therefore low in fat.
Very good. Next, repeat. Rule of thumb,
Rule of thumb,
guideline.
guideline.
Very good. Okay, listen. Guideline is a noun. It means a rule or instruction that shows or tells how something should be done. For example, the government has issued new guidelines for following a healthy and balanced diet. Rule of thumb means an approximate guideline that helps in a practical way for all people. For example, as a rule of thumb, doctors recommend drinking 2 liters of water a day. Let's practice. What's a rule of thumb? What's a rule of thumb? A rule of thumb
Rule of
is an
thumb
approximate guideline,
is an
ap- approximate
approximate
guideline
guideline
that helps in a
that helps
practical way.
in a practical way.
Very good. Give me an example. Give me an example, please. As a rule of thumb,
As a rule of
doctors
thumb,
recommend
doctor recommend
drinking 2 liters of
drinking two
water a
liters
day.
of water a day.
Very good. Next, repeat. Humble.
Trumble,
One more. Humble.
tumble.
Very good. Okay, listen. Tumble means to fall, usually while bouncing and rolling. For example, we shouldn't put delicate fabrics in a tumble dryer because they might get damaged, shrink, etc. Let's practice. What does the verb to tumble mean? What does the verb to tumble mean? The verb to
The
tumble
verb
means
tumble
to
means
fall,
to
usually
fall,
while bouncing
usually one bouncing
and rolling.
and rolling.
Wicked, why shouldn't we put delicate fabrics in a tumble dryer? Why shouldn't we put delicate fabrics in a tumble dryer? We shouldn't put
We shouldn't
delicate
put
fabrics
delicate
in a
fabric
tumble dryer
in a tumble dryer
because they may get
because they
damaged,
may get damaged,
shrink, etc.
shrink, etc.
Very good. Next, repeat diversion,
Diversion,
obstacle,
obstacle,
intellectual.
intellectual.
Very good. Okay, listen, diversion is a noun. It means the act of changing the direction or use of something. For example, the bad weather forced the diversion of several flights. Diversion could also mean something that people do because it's enjoyable, entertaining, or pleasant. For example, sports, reading books, shopping, etc. are my favorite diversions from the pressure of my job. Obstacle is a noun. It is something that blocks your path or blocks your way. For
Mm.
example, if we say that a bus is on a diversion, we mean the bus is traveling along a different route because there is an obstacle blocking its normal route. Intellectual is an adjective. It means smart and enjoying serious study and thought. For example, people have to be intellectual in order to deal with all the challenges in life. Let's practice. What do we mean if we say that a bus is on a diversion? What do we mean if we say that a bus is on a diversion? If we say that
If
a
we
bus
say
is
that a
on a
bus
diversion,
is on a
We
diversion.
mean the bus
We
is
mean the
traveling
bus is
along a
traveling
different route
along a different
because
route
there is an
because
obstacle
because there is an obstacle
blocking its normal route.
blocking its normal route.
Very good. Which do you prefer to read? Intellectual novels that explores ideas deeply or easy to read novels that simply offer diversion? Which do you prefer to read? Intellectual novels that explore ideas deeply or easy to read novels that simply offer diversion? I prefer to read
I prefer to
intellectual
read
novels
interaction
that
novel
explore ideas
that
deeply
explore ideas deeply
than easy to read novels
than easy to read
that
novels
simply offer diversion.
that simply offer a diversion.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to our reading. Very
Yes.
good. Okay, our reading is at stage 11, paragraph page 1030. Last headword
Hmm.
was breakout. Start with headword penetrate, bulletproof,
Okay.
soundproof.
Okay. Penetrate, bulletproof, soundproof. What do we mean when we say a room is soundproof or a window or is bulletproof?
Mhm,
When we say a room is soundproof or a window is bulletproof, we mean that sound can't penetrate through the walls of the room, or that a bullet could not penetrate the glass of the window.
mhm,
Remains Rita. If you are on excursion to see the remains of an ancient castle and you spotted another tourist dropping Rita on the site, what would you do? If I were on an excursion to see the remain of an ancient castle,
mhm.
and I spotted another tourist dropping Rita on the side,
I'd
I'd pick up it
pick it
and
up.
throw to the pick it up and throw to the trash can.
Very good.
Scheme. How would you react if the government announced a scheme to build a new prison in your local area? If the government announced a scheme to build a new prison in my local area, I'd protest to the government.
Very good. Okay, let's
Uh,
move on
trigger,
to. Very good.
okay. Trigger a rifle, earthquake, shift. When carrying a rifle, why should a soldier only put his finger on the trigger just before firing? When carrying a rifle, soldier should hmm,
Only put
only put
his finger
his finger
on the.
on the trigger just before firing, in case the rifle goes off accidentally. What triggers earthquake? A sudden shift in the rock beneath the surface on the earth triggers earthquakes.
Mhm,
Why do some jobs require people to do shift work? Some job require people to do shift work because the work need to be done both day and night. Potential. If you had a child who showed great potential as an artist, would you encourage them to pursue art as a career? No. If I had a child who showed great potential as an artist, uh, I
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't encourage them to pursue art as a career.
Why not?
Why not? Parents should not decide who their children do.
What their children do.
What their children do.
Very good.
What do we mean if we say that something is a potential problem?
Okay, very good. So we stop there for today.